Mikel, just start with the team news ahead of Bournemouth.
Everybody's okay. As you saw, we had Cedric, Fabio, and Emil who played with under 23s, and they looked fit. They trained all week with us, so they are available for selection.
2 wins out of 2, 6 goals scored. Give us a sense of the confidence in the camp right now.
Great to win and great to perform the way we are performing at the moment, but it's just 2 games. It's the whole season ahead of us, and focus on the next match and what we have to do and the areas as well that we can obviously improve.
Yeah, how important is that? How conscious do you have to be as a group of not getting carried away, especially with the fixtures you've got coming up?
It's just 2 games. It's nothing. The whole season is still to play for. We know that. We are very conscious of that. We are very conscious of the improvements that we have still to make as a team, to close games better, to play better, and this has been the whole aim the whole week.
Bournemouth away, they had a good start to the season with that win over Villa on the first day. Obviously brilliant last season in the Championship. What do you make of the challenge that they pose?
Hey, that will be a really tough match. I played there many times. I know how tough it is. I expect the atmosphere that is going to be hectic there. Again, it's a team that is used to winning because last year they have a really successful season. They started well the season. I know the squad obviously very well as well. So I know that they're going to make a real difficult game for us.
You mentioned the way they play and your matches against them as a player. They seem to, under Scott Parker, have continued that tradition of what we see at Bournemouth teams.
Yes, and I think it's a good mixture between what Bournemouth used to do and what Scott is as a manager, and I think he has evolved the team in a really positive way. They have a really clear idea of how they want to play, very clear identity as well, and they execute that against any opponent and credit to them for what they're doing.
You mentioned as well Scott Parker. You came up against him many times as a player, both central midfielders. You know, you're part of that group of young Premier League managers coming through as well. I suppose the next generation. What do you make of what he's done in his career as a manager so far?
Really good. I always admire him as a player, as his character. Obviously, I know him personally as well pretty well, and I'm really happy for him, the way he presents himself and the way he wants to play this game. I think it's great for the game to have managers that they want to play in the way that he wants to do it, and nothing. I wish him best of luck apart from tomorrow.
He's a fashionable guy, isn't he?
What do you mean by that?
Well, he's always well dressed on the touchline. What do you think about that?
I think he was always like that as a player as well, and I think he presents himself really well.
Just a couple on Gabriel Jesus. He looked great, on the pitch at the weekend. He got his goals. He seems to be really full of confidence in the interview afterwards. He spoke really well to Sky in English. How have you been impressed with his start at the club and the way he's feeling?
Yeah, probably the biggest difference since I work with him is his maturity. Obviously, a few years have gone by, a few experiences. As you mentioned, his language is improved so much. He's got a different role here. You can sense that straight away, and I'm glad that he's enjoying, having a good time, and performing really well for the team.
You kind of touched on it there, but a bit more specifically, what have you seen on the pitch and off it since the time you worked together? When he just come to England, didn't speak great English, it was his first experience in the Premier League. What has he really changed and clearly worked on?
Not many difference. Obviously, I think he has improved a lot of areas in his game because he has more experience, because obviously he's been working on them. For me, what it makes the difference with him is his attitude, his willingness, and his desire to win every single training session, every single ball in the game, and that's what he makes in the play that he is.
You played with great goal scorers throughout your career. How much is a striker who's in form, enjoying his football and scoring goals to be feared by an opposing team?
Our top teams, they need top scorers, and not just one, ideally 3. And when you have those players and they can hit certain numbers, that gives you every chance to be at the top of the table.
Just one more really quickly, obviously with the end of the transfer window coming up. Does the start you've had to the season, the good performances so far, perhaps changed your thinking at all about what you might need or might not need?
No, we are still in the same position. Obviously, the market gives you a lot of information, and something that maybe you expect that you could get, you are not getting, or the same when ins and outs. But we are focusing on the players that we have right now and get the best out of them.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Obviously, you were there at the under-21s the other day. I want to talk about Cedric. he showed a fantastic free kick. And is it the message to players who aren't always the first teamer to maybe play in the odd under-21 game and show that kind of attitude? That's what you want to see from all your squad players.
100%. I think there were three different cases. Marquinhos has been playing with under-23s, and we didn't believe that it was necessary for him to play again. Fabio and Emil, they've been injured. They haven't had any minutes. They needed that exposure. With Cedric, it was more a case of giving him the option. Obviously, he was in the squad last week. He hasn't played many minutes in pre-season, and we have to give the options for them. He said straight away that he wanted to play, and you could see the attitude that he had.
Yeah, it is very early days. The manager said to me once they start looking at the league table at the end of October. When do you personally look at the table?
After 10 or 12 games, I think that's more or less when everything starts to play a little bit and understand where you are, because obviously the schedule or the fixtures are going to have a big part on that. But I don't focus too much on that. Probably at the end of March, April, that's when it really starts to matter.
In terms of the transfers, is it the key as well? It has to be the right player as well. And it has to be a certain player, not just any player. That's the message here. You've made some good signings.
It has to be the right person and it has to be the right player. And we want to only bring top quality through that door. If not, it's not worth it.
If the right player doesn't come in, will you be happy when the window's finished with this squad?
I will be totally happy and focused in getting the best out of those players, for sure.
You said to me in Orlando it's about outgoings as well. I understand there's interest from Nicolas Pepe with Nice. Is there an update there?
While we can communicate, we always do when it's the right moment. We discussed that we had a big squad. We have made some decisions and we allowed to leave some players, and till the window is open, everything is possible with any player.
Someone like Ashley Maitland-Niles, would you say maybe another loan might be good for his development as well?
Again, we are addressing those things personally and internally.
One more on outgoings, Hector Bellerin. You've got a fantastic relationship with him. You took him to Orlando as well. Is there an update there? Is there clubs who are interested in him as well?
No, at the moment, no update, and it's like the other situations at the moment.
Granit Xhaka, who's no longer your captain, but he seems a leader without the armband. How proud are you of him? Because that was a real performance on Saturday. Usually what happened originally when you weren't here, there's no way back. But there has been a way back, and now he seems to be a key part of your side.
You describe it well. He doesn't need the armband to be one of the leaders. It's his personality and the way he approaches his profession that makes him a special player. I think it's very important for the team. He's showing that, and what we need from him is that he performs the same way or better, and that's the aim.
And he said as well that he would love one day, I mean this was potentially happening pre-pandemic, but he wants the fans to see just how hard you work in training. Would you be interested in that, maybe sort of 10, 15,000 fans at the Emirates watching you train, seeing you? I mean, everyone's seen you lately, but I mean, would you welcome that as the season goes on?
I think anything that is bringing us closer to our supporters, we have to try to do it in a rational way, and the club is looking into that.
Thank you.
Hi, Mikel. Take you back, Boxing Day 2019, 1-1 draw at Bournemouth. It was your first game as manager. What do you remember from that day?
It was raining. I got very wet, and yeah, I was excited and nervous and very looking forward to what it was coming. But it seems like a long, long time ago.
How have you changed, you think, as a manager since then?
Very much, I think. I think the team and the club need a certain person in each phase or in each moment. I think the coach or the manager that the team needed, that the club needed a year ago, is different to what it needs today. And you have to constantly be evolving, because now we have to thrive this club into a different speed. And before, there were moments that we have to give probably a lot of protection and keep the plates in the right place, not to fall apart. So this is evolving, and we as individuals, especially the people has a lot of decision making and has to inspire others, have to evolve and change as well.
The team's evolved and changed, I think, on the pitch today. But would you say this is now you put your stamp, this is a Mikel Arteta team compared to the team?
It was from the first day, because I made the decision to come here and coach those players, and I always felt that that those were our players, and we always try to get the best out of them, help them, and try to improve them. And obviously, when you start to recruit, obviously you want to recruit alongside the club with players that we believe together that can make the difference for the club, and this is what we've been doing.
Someone else who played that day was Aaron Ramsdale with the goal for Bournemouth. He's faced a little bit of criticism at the start of this season, and in the documentary you can see how much it means to him when, if he makes mistakes or if the team see the goal. Have you guys put an arm around him this week, or is he not the kind of player that needs that?
I think Aaron has been pretty good at the start of the season, and why you've seen that in a very specific moment. But if you put the cameras when somebody makes a mistake, yeah, they feel it's hurting, and it takes a few days to swallow. You can see the families as well how much they suffer. I think it's good to see that inside that players really care.
And you were at the 21s game, I saw during the week. Fabio there obviously got his first run out for 45 minutes. He played on the right. I mean, what did you think of what sort of performance he delivered? And is that position, the right hand side, one that you would really sort of considering for in the Premier League?
Well, with Fabio, it's obviously his versatility is something that caught our eye, and we believe that he's going to give us a lot of options. It's about those units, how they work together, and the type of play that Fabio needs around to exploit his qualities. I think that relationship with Emil in that side can be very, very powerful. So we will have to wait and see how that develops.
Just on Marquinhos, obviously didn't feature in that game, but you've had a good chance to have a look at him for the 21s and in training. How is he settled in? What is his kind of future here at the moment? Is he going to stay, or is there a chance for loan?
Very happy with him. He's adapted really well. He's a really likable figure in the dressing room and around Conley, even if his language is not great yet. I think his physicality has been pretty exceptional for someone who's coming from Brazil, a different rhythm to train and play the way he's done it. And I think he's got very good qualities for how we want to play. We're going to keep him here for another few months and make sure that he establishes himself at the club and in the team, and after that we will see what's the best movement in his development.
In that time, do you think he could actually feature in the Premier League, or is maybe looking at the Europa League and games?
For every player is the option to play there. If he trains and convinces that he has the level to do that, of course he's going to have opportunities.
When we heard from you towards the end of last season, Mikel, you were talking about Mikel and describing as someone with the Arsenal DNA and wanting to have contract talks. It's obviously been a bit quiet, and some supporters are a bit concerned by that. Are you still confident, or how confident are you about tying down to the contract?
I'm very confident that we as a club and Bukayo, his family, his agent, everybody, we are very much aligned in what we want to achieve, and now it's about putting them on a piece of paper.
Is there any urgency to get that done, obviously with the busy season of the World Cup this summer, or are you relaxed about the timescale?
I would like that to get done because I don't want the player or anybody distracted while we are in the middle of the season. But those things take time, and they have to go through the right process, and I think the process has been really good.
I'm Mikel. Just in terms of player relationships on the pitch, I know we've spoken about that quite a lot, and you just mentioned Emil and Fabio there. Is that a specific relationship that you want to grow? Because I saw they combined really well and swap positions sometimes. So in terms of first team, is that where you'd see them maybe playing off each other quite a bit?
We want players that make each other better, and in order to that, first of all, is the chemistry between those players, the understanding, the timing, the different qualities that they need in order to get what we want to get done, and we are building the relationship. Fabio has been training with us just for a week, so he needs to develop that. We need to see where he basically clicks and where he can make big impact for the team, and we are looking at that.
And that understanding, I guess, does that improve the chances of that better execution and decision making in the final third that's kind of been evident this past couple of weeks?
Yes, and we need to continue developing that and being more unpredictable and a bigger threat every week.
And I know you're at the 21s game against Man United as well, so is it the plan to go to, I guess, as many of those as possible? Or is it just
well, especially when we have time, we want to take the opportunity to be there, to be close to them, to give them some support, to Mehmet, to the coaches, to the players, and we need to build really that connection between first team and academy, and be very much in line of how we want to play, how we're going to evolve our players, and basically get the talent from there to the first team. That's the aim that we have as a club.
You've got quite a deep squad now, particularly in the defensive areas, as opposed to last season, where at times, particularly towards the end of the season, it was a little bit thinner. How much more difficult is it going to be managing so many more players this time around?
I think the first 3 or 4 weeks of the competition are tricky because we're only playing once a week. There is no Europa, there is no Cups, and we're going to have to manage that frustration of players that sometimes they're not going to be even in the squad. But it's a long season, and everybody will have their opportunities.